Hey seniors, Castle here. I wanted to talk with you about college applications. In the age of COVID, where you cannot roam freely through the counseling suite and ask any one of us at any given time questions about your college applications, I wanted to be sure that you have enough information to at least get started. And then you can email me as you have other issues arise. So, give me a sec. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. I say attempt. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be successful. Okay, so here we go. College applications. The thing that you need to know right off the bat is that you have to start. So if you are someone who has been putting off at least getting started on those applications, stop and get on it, because there's no time like the present to get this process started. A lot of college applications is really just an exercise in, can you follow directions and provide information as you are asked for it? And the answer is yes, but you do have to do it. So, oh, and I'm sporting my alma mater, my undergrad alma mater. Anybody interested in Mizzou can ask me about that. Okay, so calendar your deadlines. So you're probably using one of a few application platforms that I'm gonna give you links to here in just a minute. Whether that is Apply Texas or Common App or Coalition, you have deadlines, early deadlines, you have late deadlines. Many people are trying to meet like a November 1st, somewhere around their deadline. So calendar those in your own personal calendar or to-do list so that you know when those are coming up. And something that I like to do is I like to do things about a week in advance at least. So I have some self-imposed deadlines that are different from the actual deadlines. And that's helpful because if you suddenly realize that you have not requested a transcript or you never turned in your gold packet to your counselor, then you have a little bit of time, just an extra window to do that, where you're not contacting someone to say, oh my God, my application's due at midnight and I haven't done X. So week in advance, try to have everything ready to go. You want to create a strong resume. Not all colleges will ask you for a resume, but some will. And the things that you want to include on there, since maybe you don't have like a huge breadth of job experience, but you have extracurriculars, you have skills, you have, some of you have CAS or volunteer experiences that you can include. And this is extremely helpful even if you are not required to submit a resume. It is helpful for your recommenders. And that brings me to solid letters of recommendation. There is going to be a de-emphasis in SAT and ACT scores, test scores really in general, because of the situation that we're in. It's been hard to take a test. They've been under strange circumstances, and we don't know what the SAT and ACT are going to look like this year necessarily. So colleges are going to be a little bit flexible there. Where you are going to be able to set yourself apart, both in your experiences and extracurriculars, and think outside of school, but also in your letters of recommendation. Most colleges require 2 letters of recommendation from teachers. I would recommend having 1 teacher from the humanities. So I said that weird, humanities. Either English or history, maybe TOK, maybe psychology, something that's considered a humanity class would be a good source for that letter. And then a letter from a teacher who is in STEM or maybe from an extracurricular activity. So if it's not somebody from math or science, then maybe it's, or robotics, maybe it's somebody from, maybe it's somebody who has coached you in tennis for the last 4 years. These letters should be personal. So you want to pick those wisely. If you think that, you know, one of your teachers is just hilarious and they're the greatest, but you never went to class and you didn't turn anything in, that's probably not your best source for a solid letter of recommendation. What you don't want is, you don't want a generic letter of recommendation. So there are two things that help you with that. One is picking a teacher that you have a good relationship with, a good rapport, someone who knows you both as a student and as a human being. The second thing is going to be giving them your resume so that they can focus on some of the things that you've accomplished over your time in high school. They're not going to remember all those things off the top of their head. So give them something to work with as they write your letter. That's going to make it sound super personal, and that's what colleges want to see, you as a human being. So solid letters of rec. The third letter of rec is your counselor. So this, for most of you, it's going to be your alpha counselor who writes this letter. You are required to turn in a gold packet, and that gold packet contains a ton of information, and you're going to feel like you're writing your own letter. Essentially, you are. So that packet is extremely important because our counselors work really hard to write letters that are personalized, and they use those gold packets to do that for you. The other thing about letters of recommendation, make sure, and this comes back to calendar your deadlines, make sure that you're asking for those letters of recommendation early on, and that you are bringing your resume with you when you ask. Give teachers ideally a month, but at least 2 weeks to write that letter. If you go to your teachers 24 hours in advance, some of them are going to do it anyway, but they're probably not going to be able to do it very well. And you want a letter that's going to stand out, right? So make sure that you are getting that taken care of. The next thing is compelling essays. You all have compelling stories. They don't have to be earth-shattering. They don't have to be traumatic. They don't have to impact all of humanity in order for them to matter. So think about some of the stories from your childhood and adolescence that make you who you are. This comes back to colleges wanting to know that they are admitting citizens of the world, people who are conscientious about the world around them, people who are passionate about something. So don't be afraid to show what you care about, to be a complete nerd, to tell a story about yourself. These are things that are going to make you stand out to admissions officers. And it really is as simple as finding some stories that show them rather than tell them what you're all about. And this is a really hard task, actually. So get started early. If you're having trouble with finding that seed of an idea, I would suggest asking your parents or asking some of your friends, what do you think the most compelling story I have in my archive of experience that would be interesting or otherwise important to making me who I am, that I could tell on a college application. You want to veer away from things that are super uncomfortable. And I don't anticipate that anybody could possibly go there. But that includes things like stories of high school drama and breakups and things of that nature, those are very individual and doesn't really show any kind of broader impact for the world. So you want a story that shows who you are as a citizen of the world. What makes you, what is it that made you conscientious, or what is it that made you super passionate about physics or music or English, whatever the case may be. You also want to make sure on this note of your essays and just your application in general that you proofread. As I mentioned before, college applications are very much a checklist of X, Y, Z, getting all of those things submitted in an orderly and timely fashion and following the directions that are given to you. Finally, this is a checklist, but know that there is no magic checklist for you. The difficult thing about college admissions, at least from my vantage point, is that you can check all of the boxes: GPA, rank, all the advanced classes, every extracurricular activity under the sun, all of this volunteer work. You can check all of those boxes and still somehow not be admitted. This is not your shortcoming. This is their loss. You're going to find somewhere that is perfect for you. Keep an open mind about what that might be. You may have your heart set on UT. You may have your heart set on Texas Tech Honors College. You may have your heart set on Harvard or UPenn or Cornell or Rice or UCLA or Mizzou. It's the University of Missouri at Columbia. But don't put all of your eggs into that basket. Be open to the possibility that you belong somewhere else. You're going to go exactly where you belong. You're going to have exactly the experience that you're dreaming of. Because in some ways, we do shape our destiny. And one of the things that Mr. Timmons talks about with you, I know, is choosing optimism. This is so key in college applications. Do not get bogged down in this process. It stinks so much. But this is all just a stepping stone to the next part of your life, where regardless of what you do in college, you can do something amazing. There is nothing that says that you get your undergrad wherever and then you can't go on to become a doctor, or that the doctor who went to Texas Tech is not as great as the doctor who went to Harvard. It's just not so. You can be successful anywhere because success is internal and it is what you make it. So don't get bogged down in this process. Be open-minded about where you're applying and stay positive, okay? Look at all these options. I know this comes from actually, I whited it out, but it said like football schools or something. I was like, it's probably not my audience. But it comes back to the being open-minded, which brings me to the way that you can get started today. So there are several options for you. Common App and Coalition both have a wider range of schools because those are national, international applications. So what you'll want to do is explore both of those platforms. If you're planning on applying outside of the state of Texas, explore both of those platforms, and you can do a search for whether or not they include the schools that you're going to be applying to. And if they don't, then you're going to have to find that school's portal through Google by going to visit the school's website and seeing what their application process looks like. The vast majority are going to be available on at least one of these two, if not both. The third option, if you are applying to Texas schools only, you know that you are a Texan through and through and could never consider yourself a Missourian, then Apply Texas might be a good platform for you. Jot these down, take a look around, and submit your applications to a lot of different places, because you never know what you're going to get.